everybody, and welcome back to the Digital Golf Docs Senior Mobility Challenge. Today we're going to be working on the wrist and the hands. And just a reminder, make sure you like and subscribe so you get the future challenge videos. And check out the description because there's some tips for making this optimal, as well as some pre and post testing so you can ensure you're improving. So the first thing we're going to do is try and open up the joint. So I'm going to go ahead and take my other hand, grab the bottom of my hand before this bony part of the wrist, and then I'm just going to pull apart, like I'm just trying to stretch my arm longer. And I'm going to pulse that pull about 10 times, 15 times, so that we can open up the joint, lubricate it, get some of that synovial fluid, the body's WD-40 in there, and then we'll switch to the other side. This, as simple as it sounds, is really going to make things easier. We get so many compressive forces in our body throughout the day that just getting a distraction force the other direction can help a ton. Now, you're actually going to flex and distract the wrist. So I want you to pull apart, rotate down. Let it come back up, pull apart, rotate down. We're going to repeat that just another few times. And again, we're giving the wrist more room to move because we're pulling it out prior to down. Then we'll go the other way. Pull it out, and we'll go up. Pull out, rotate up. This is going to be really great for a lot of you with hand and wrist arthritis. Good. Now, we're going to switch to the other side. Pull out, flex down. I have a lot of old left wrist injuries, so I actually do this a lot on my left wrist, and it helps immensely. Like, this feels great right now. I already feel like I've loosened my wrist up and it's moving a little bit farther. Do the other way, and again, you can kind of grab on here however you want. So if you want to grab under the wrist instead, that's fine. Perfect. Now we're going to do the same thing to the thumb. This is a very common place for arthritis. So again, we're just going to grab the finger here. We're going to pull apart, and I like to add little circles to it. So I'm pulling apart, rotating around. You can add some customized movements if you want. You might even notice some clicking, popping, cracking. Not only is that okay, but if it's not painful, that can really be a good sign. A lot of times that helps loosen up the joint even further. Same thing on this left side. Again, the number one enemy of arthritis, so the thing to fight against arthritis is lubricating that joint. So when we get movement like this, whoop up on it a little bit, that's what helps. You can do a Google search and things will tell you. The thing not to do with arthritis is to just stop moving. That applies to the hands and wrists too. So next we're going to drop our elbows to our side, and we're going to pronate, which is palm down, and supinate, which is palm up. And we're just going to go back and forth, really kind of pushing the limits there. You're not going to hurt yourself with this, so you can feel comfortable to really rotate into it. This is a soft tissue that limits the movement, so it's not like you're grinding any joints here. Sometimes what I'll do if I feel really stiff is actually give a little extra assistance in each direction with the other hand. Nothing too aggressive, but just feel a little bit more movement. Okay, then we're actually going to do an elbow straight version of that. So we're going to go here and back out, here, back out. So this is getting the forearm. It's also getting the shoulder, but there's muscles that run along the length of your arm. So to really loosen up that pronation, supination motion, you actually have to bring it up to the shoulder. Just be a little careful. Some of you might feel a little bit of pinch in the shoulders with the inward roll, and if that's the case, just don't go as aggressively. If you've already done the shoulder video, that'll actually help you a lot in improving this motion. Perfect. Now, we're going to focus back to the wrist joint with that flexion extension. The way these muscles run, and I don't want to turn it into a big anatomy lesson, but they run down from the back side, they wrap all the way to your fingers, and the opposite ones wrap down the front side to the tips of your fingers. So in order to stretch them, we have to have our hands in different positions. So what I want you to start with is your fingers straight. I want them to stay straight as you rotate up and drop back down. And you'll feel a different tension with this than if your fists are making that same motion. So try and keep those fingers straight. Again, find and maintain that breath. We're going to get these loosened up for another 2 repetitions. Perfect. Now we're going to make a fist, and what you'll feel is when you go down, there's going to be a stretch on the top of your forearm. Again, that stretch won't be there if you don't make a fist. You can test that out yourselves, and that'll help tell you that you're following the anatomy here. You're respecting your anatomy when you're learning these different yoga and different mobility movements, and they're going to be much more effective because of that. Cool. And you can shake these out. And what I like to do as an optional next piece is actually bring a club in for just a little bit of an external force. And I would do these a lot before I even play a round of golf. But what I'll do is I'll take this club, I'm going to grab the grip, I'm going to grab so it's thumb down out in front of me, and then I'm going to hinge from my wrist. This is called radial deviation. That's not important. You can think of it as a wrist hinge, but it's something we want to loosen up before we go swinging a golf club 100, 110, 120 miles an hour. And after I've done a few to that side, I'll take the club and I'll turn it opposite behind me so I can hinge the other direction. Again, check in, maintain your breath. You really got to stay away from that breath holding during these videos because it just makes everything a little less effective. Your nervous system is not going to let things relax if you're constantly holding your breath. A shorter club is easier for this, a longer club is harder. So you can use that to your advantage to kind of find the right mix for you. I'll turn it around. And order isn't everything in these movements, but I do set these videos up in a specific way so that we kind of progress from easier to harder. You've probably heard me say it a bunch now, but once you lubricate the joints with the synovial fluid, they move easier. So starting with some gentle movement and progressing to the more stressful stuff is going to be typically the way to do it. So we're going to go back to that wrist bent position, and I'm going to rotate or pronate and supinate my forearm each way. And you can start slow, and then if you're getting ready to play around the golf, you might want to put some speed on there because, again, you're about to swing that club pretty fast, so you want your body to be ready for it. Notice I grab a little bit closer to the club head end. That's just because the weight of the club. This is going to make it a little bit more even. And again, I might start getting going a little bit quicker. Perfect. That's going to end it for this video. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next of the Senior Mobility Challenge.